Hello everybody and welcome to the Arthas Rework Spotlight. In this video we're going to take a look at what the Lich King is all about after the upcoming patch. And let's be honest, there was hardly any other hero in the game that needed a redesign and a little bit of a buff as badly as our good friend Arthas. So without further ado, let's actually get right to it and take a look at the level 1 talents that Arthas now has in store. And even at level 1, quite a bit has changed. If we take a look at block though, it's still basically the same, right? You can reduce the damage taken from the next two hero basic attacks by 75%. Nothing out of the ordinary here. However, if we take a look at Frost Presence, you will see that Howling Blast cooldown is reduced by 6 seconds when it hits an enemy hero. This can be quite huge, especially if you take into consideration some of the Frozen Tempest talents at 13 and 16, so just keep that in mind. And in general, having a much lower cooldown on your Howling Tempest, your primary source of crowd control, can be quite game changing, especially for early game ganks and rotations. Now here's the superstar at level 1 in my opinion. Arthas now has a quest talents. You know, some people love them, some people hate them. I am personally a big fan of questing talents if they make a lot of sense, and Eternal Hunger definitely makes a lot of sense because it is very easy to achieve and it has a great passive effect. It will actually increase the damage of Frostmourne Hungers by 25% after hitting 10 heroes with it, and that should normally be done after, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes. So really early on, I actually tried that one out when I was playing in LA at the Heroes of the Storm Summit, so definitely give that one a go. I think it's quite good. Next, let's take a look at Arthas level 4 talents. We're gonna kick things off with Frozen Wastes, which greatly reduces the mana cost of Frozen Tempest. It will do it by 3 per second, and keep in mind once again what I said earlier, Frozen Tempest at 13 and 16 can be a very legitimate build route on Arthas, so reducing the mana cost for it in order to maintain it is more useful than it ever was. Let's move on to Deathlord, a Death Coil related talent. It reduces Death Coil's cooldown by 2 seconds and increases its range by 25%. Now keep one thing in mind guys, a Death Coil build is definitely something you can go for, and you will see why if we take a couple of steps further and take a look at the remaining Death Coil related talents. Just as a reminder, last but not least for level 4 we have Biting Cold. And this talent will increase the damage done by Frozen Tempest by 30%. It is actually a little bit of an opposite to the first one, whereas the first talent related to Frozen Tempest, Frozen Wastes, focuses more on the sustainability and the mana problems. Biting Cold takes care of the damage. If you feel you can manage your mana very efficiently, then Biting Cold is the way to go, and it can significantly raise Arthas' damage output, so keep an eye on that talent for sure. Alright boys and girls, here we go with talents for level 7. And not really a whole lot has changed for Rune Tap. It's still a decent self-sustained talent. It's great when it comes to clearing mercenary camps by yourself. It's great for clearing minions and to sort of regenerate health overall. Let's move on to Immortal Coil, and remember what I said a couple of seconds ago? A Death Coil build definitely viable after the rework for Arthas, and you will see why. You gain the healing effect of Death Coil even when you use it on enemies. If you damage an enemy hero with it, you also heal for additional 100% of the damage dealt. Now, this sounds crazy, and rightfully so, because it actually provides Arthas with crazy amounts of self-sustain. Talking about talents that we'll see play in the near future, I think Icebound Fortitude will be just a talent like that. It is an activatable talent at level 7, and when you activate it, it reduces the damage taken by 25% and reduces also the duration of silences, stuns, slows, roots, and polymorphs against Arthas by 75% for 3 seconds, and it comes with a 50-second cooldown. So Icebound Fortitude is the relentless replacement that Arthas has in the early game now, and this can be quite game changing. You face a team with a lot of crowd control and a lot of burst damage, well, you throw that big boy on and the early team fights will be a lot more easygoing for Arthas. Now let's actually take a look at what it looks like in game when Arthas activates it, because let's be honest, it looks really cool, literally. Alright guys, since not much has changed at Arthas' heroic abilities, we're gonna dive right into the level 13 talents. We're gonna kick things off with Trail of Frost. It increases Howling Blast range by 30%, and it also causes Arthas to root enemies between himself and the target for 1.5 seconds. So basically you freeze anyone in the path of your Howling Blast, and this can be extremely strong if you manage to land that one on several enemies at the same time. And keep in mind, at level 1 we have a talent that reduces the cooldown of Holy Blast significantly, so there is definitely some nice crowd control synergy going on over here. Now it's time to move on with Frost Strike. It reduces Frostmourne Hunger's cooldown by 2 seconds and also causes it to apply a massive slow, 40% for 1.5 seconds. This is a very reliable crowd control source, unlike Trail of Frost, which requires you to aim a little bit more. So combine that with Frostmourne Hunger in general and the other Frostmourne Hunger related talents. It makes Arthas a very safe hero. However, he really needs to approach his targets in melee range in order to benefit from the bonuses that these talents provide. So I'm not really sure if they will be viable, but they certainly look nice on paper. Finally, we have Frigid Winds on level 13, and it causes Frozen Tempest to reduce enemies' attack speed by 8%, stacking up to 40, so it has logically 5 stacks available. And keep in mind that it does not only apply to enemy heroes, but also minions, mercenaries, and so on and so forth. So it's really powerful when it comes to clearing mercenary camps all by yourself, to freeze minion waves as well. So keep an eye out. This talent will be one of the greatest counters to many fast hitting melee assassins and ranged assassins alike. So especially heroes like Illidan Thrall, they will really struggle against Arthas if he goes for that talent and manages to stay in their vicinity for a longer period of time. Alright, level 16 we get another Frozen Tempest related talent called Remorseless Winner, and it will actually cause enemy heroes to automatically get frozen if they remain in Arthas' Frozen Tempest for 3 seconds, and that root will be another 2 seconds. This effect, however, can only happen once every 10 seconds. Now this is crazy. It actually allows Arthas to automatically freeze targets, and just imagine you land your Howling Blast on your target, it causes them to be frozen for 1.5 seconds anyway, and then you automatically have a good start at getting that second freeze coming in from Remorseless Winner. So Arthas has the potential to root multiple people in his vicinity, a very strong asset to his combat performance overall, and I really do like this talent. So as you can see, we're now approaching the enemy Arthas. We root him with Howling Blast. He stays there for 1.5 seconds, and now you can see the additional 2-second root by Remorseless Winner. Very cool combo. I am definitely digging that. Now let's take a look at Frostmourne feats, and increases the amount of basic attacks empowered by Frostmourne Hungers to 2. Imagine we have the damage bonus from the level 1 questing talent, we have something like Frost Strike at level 13, so I think there might be some extremely offensive Arthas builds out there. However, I remain a little bit skeptical about this talent. We have Embrace Death though, and remember what we said about Death Coil earlier, this talent tops it all. This one is the cherry on the cake, so to speak. It actually causes Death Coil to deal 20% more damage for each 10% of life you are missing as Arthas. Now that means the lower you are, the more damage it's going to deal, and the more health it is actually going to restore to you if you took the Immortal Coil earlier on, and this allows for crazy combos when playing Arthas, and crazy self-sustain of course as well. Next we're going to take a look at Embrace Death and see how much the bonus damage from the Mortal can actually come into effect. Now for that we're going to take some damage from the towers to get a little bit lower in HP to show you guys a little bit of a difference. Alright, here we go. I think we're low enough for now. We have also taken the previous Immortal Coil talents, of course, like Immortal Coil for example. And we're going to try to engage the enemy Arthas, and you can see that massive self-heal. It is actually crazy. And we're going to use it once again. Nice bonus damage on our fellow Arthas, and he falls, and we are almost back to full HP. However, there's still one more talent tier to take a look at, and this one is of course the Storm tier talent at level 20. Now the heroic ability upgrades, Legion of Northrend and Absolute Zero, haven't really changed a lot, but what is entirely new is Death's Advance. And what it does is it passively increases Arthas' movement speed by 10%. And it also has an activatable component to it, which increases the bonus movement speed to 30% for 3 seconds. So it's like a little bit of a steroid movement speed boost for Arthas, which really complements one of his biggest weaknesses, which has always been mobility and movement speed, right? Arthas is considered to be one of those tanks that can't really peel that well for his allies because he doesn't have a jump, he doesn't have a dash or anything like that. So this late game movement speed boost can really cause him to be a lot more effective on the battlefield. And what it looks like, we're actually going to take a look at it now, skilling Death's Advance and testing it on the battlefield. Here we go, Arthas is once again approaching the enemy minion wave and his fellow Lich King. And you can really see how much faster he's already moving thanks to that 10% permanent bonus movement speed. Now let's say we want to dive the enemy Arthas. We're going to take a look at how he feels like when he activates that steroid. There we go, really, really fast. We're going to activate it again to get out of harm's way and out of reach of the towers. Of course, we have the toggle cooldown in test mode on, so in a real game situation, you wouldn't be able to do that. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we have Anti-Magic Shell. And this is an incredibly cool talent. Not only does it negate all damage from abilities by 100% for 3 seconds, it also heals Arthas for 25% of the damage prevented. So you see that Kalthus, Li Ming, Jaina, or whoever else in the enemy team, and you know that they will have a lot of magic burst damage coming at you. You skill Anti-Magic Shell at level 20 and you're going to be the boss. You're going to become the mage hunter as Arthas. However, it comes with a relatively long cooldown, 60 seconds, so you want to make sure to use it very wisely. But the self-sustain and the damage reduction coming in from Anti-Magic Shell turns Arthas into a late game wrecking ball, in my opinion. He's going to be extremely strong against all those in-meta magic ability users. Really, really cool to see, especially in competitive play where players have a really good sense and know exactly when the enemy team is going to unleash their burst damage on them. Let us take a final look at what the activatable ability actually looks like in game. Go green. Alright guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this Arthas Rework Spotlight. I think Arthas will be in a much better position than he used to be. I'm sure that especially in competitive and the upper echelons of ranked play, he will see much more recognition and actually popularity. So keep an eye out for Arthas because the king's back, baby. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to drop a like and maybe even leave a subscription if you want to. I would be very happy and honored to welcome you back in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and peace out.